to the November 2022 Town of Poughkeepsie Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. If you'd all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'm going to take the roll call. I'm here. Art? Okay. Larry is absent. Christine? Here. Tony G. Here. Tony S.
Here.
Phyllis?
Here.
Simona. Here. So because we have one down, you'll be a voting member tonight. For any of those unfamiliar with the process here at the Zoning Board of Appeals, there's an agenda. Each item will be taken in the order of the agenda. Each applicant will have an opportunity to be sworn and describe what their application and request is. Any member of the public can make comments. They're also sworn. You can appear here in person, on Zoom, or by phone. When all the public comments and information is done, the record will be closed, and then we'll move on to the next item. At the end of the agenda, then we'll start deliberation. No more testimony or evidence is taken at that time. We'll deliberate and come up with our votes. You can either stay and wait to determine or hear what the application is, or you can call the zoning administrator in the morning. Okay. With that, we'll do item number 1. That's John Zambrano, 74 Spring Street.
Good evening, we're here.
Okay.
Mr. Zambrano?
You're still under oath from the last one. So go ahead. I see that you were able to come up with a survey.
Yes.
Okay. And has anything changed since you were here last?
No. Just disturbing everything the way I had planned it. I'm still in my property line.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Christine?
No questions.
Art?
No questions.
Simona?
No question.
Phyllis?
No questions.
Tony?
No questions.
No.
And no questions.
All right. Anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this application? All right, there's nobody in the audience. I don't see anyone on Zoom. All right, then I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that motion carries. That brings us to item number 2, 3480 North Road. Good evening. You're still under oath, but, oh, sorry.
Sorry, my fault.
So a couple things have changed since you were here last.
Yes,
Okay.
at this point, we are, looking for a variance for 3 additional signs, I believe, 2 on the east wall and the 1 Dunkin' Donuts on the west side, as well as the pylon sign that, incorporates an electronic pricing board. We took the squirrel off the east wall, and any chestnut signs, we took off the squirrel on the front wall at the bottom right, and we do not have any signs on the north wall facing Heritage Square.
So I have
I did supply you with a new set of drawings. You asked for some photos, and I also, you should have in there the tree line that was required by the planning board on the west side to cover up the drive-through and line of traffic.
Okay, so I'm gonna, first in our packet is proposed exterior elevations, 3480 North Road, and it has 4 elevations, east, north, west, and south.
I'm sorry, yes.
Okay, you have that? So
Yes.
it's marked here, one of the squirrels says removed.
Yes.
Okay, are you removing the one above Chestnut?
No, that one stays with their logo. The other one on the bottom right, they just kind of wanted as an extra.
Okay.
And we removed that.
All right. And on the north elevation,
There is nothing on the north elevation.
so that Dunkin's is
No.
not there?
No, that's on the west.
Well, I'm looking at one that says north elevation that has Dunkin' written on it.
Is that my newest one?
Yep.
Sorry.
Upper right corner of the front page, proposed
Did they
interior.
print the, I apologize then, they printed one of the original ones that came. There's no signage on the north wall.
Okay. And the west location that's right above the window for the drive-in, is that accurate?
Yes,
Okay. And is there a picture that shows where that would be?
yes.
Is that the one with there's a couple of cars and then a blank wall?
There's the tree line, and it sticks just above the tree line. That would be this one here. Should be in your packet.
That's up on a separate pylon?
No, it's on the building. Just raised to clear the tree line,
Okay.
because when you come in off Route 9, you have 2 lanes entering in. So to avoid confusion or possibly an accident, just want them to know that that's where it is, and they pull in the left lane when they come off Route 9, not try to switch over.
Okay, but how far is that from the other pylon sign?
Let's see, I walked that's about 150 feet. The
Yeah.
pylon doesn't tell you where it is. I mean, it has it on the pylon sign there that there is one in there.
Okay. And then there's the second page in our packet has a diagram of an east elevation. And it says Chestnut and Duncan's on the top left, and then there's a
Yes.
photograph.
Yes, there's a photograph coming in now that they, used to come in on the north end off Route 9, and now it's connected to Heritage. So there's a lot of traffic coming through that way. There are no pylon signs or anything there, so we wanted to put those 2 small signs on the east wall so people coming in that direction would know that there is a Chestnut Market and a Dunkin' Donuts there. I believe Mr. Grace had mentioned something, and nobody really discussed it last time, that if you didn't want those small wall signs, that perhaps they could put a smaller freestanding sign, like a small monument sign, so it would still, allow them when they come up to know on this side is a Dunkin' Donuts and a Chestnut Mart, because there are no pylons there.
And from that entrance on the diagram, on that photograph, where would you go to get to the drive-in?
Drive-through?
Yes.
As soon as you see it, when you come up, there will be a small drive-through, the entrance into the gas station itself.
Right.
And then you go around the back of the building.
To the right or go to the right?
To the right, around the back of the building, and come out on the front there.
Do you have an idea where most of the cars will be coming from to the drive-through?
Well, they'll be coming off the road that runs straight through.
Inside the plaza?
As well, yeah, inside the plaza, the one that runs from the north end to the south end.
Right.
Coming off Route 9. And then you do have a significant amount of traffic coming south. They will go in that one where Heritage is now, because there's a light there.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll come in there and then go into like Home Depot and whatever from that direction if they're coming south. Going north, many people go in the very first one right across from the Marist entrance.
Right.
But you do have some coming in the other 2 entrances there. So it's kind of, I don't know if any one gets more than the other.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have. Christine?
I just want to ask, on the picture here with all the trees, is that sign going to be visible once the trees are grown?
Yeah, that's kind of why we did this one. I mean, once they continue to grow, probably is going to be unable to be viewed as well. But I think if they start with those trees at that size, it'll take some time, and by that time, if they're successful, which most Dunkin' Donuts are, people will know they're there.
Thank you, that's all.
Art?
Yeah, the Dunkin' sign. You've got it on your pylon sign, correct?
Yes, it is on the bottom sign at the road, if we get that sign.
So I don't understand the need for that to be that high off the roof line. Why do you really need that? Because like she said, the tree is gonna block it probably in a few years.
I would
Could
think
we-
it was probably more than a few years, but as I said, one of the main reasons is people coming in that double lane entrance. If they come in and they get in the right lane and then see that Dunkin's on their left and have to get over, and it's a very short drive. And that photo, I mean, we did the best we could to Photoshop that. It looks a little clunky and it's really not, but we had to kind of cut and paste to get it in there.
But if they come in front of Home Depot, the Route 9, the main entrance where you got McDonald's on your right, Chestnut on your left, you've got Dunkin' on the right-hand corner of the building facing that entrance, so it's not real hard to miss.
No, it's not hard to miss once you're up there. I'm just saying, if you're in the right lane, you may not be able to get over to make that left turn.
Okay, question to
One of the reasons, just,
the chairman, I believe. Are we allowed to ask if, instead of that sign at the entranceway coming from ShopRite, they could put a small directional sign? Are they allowed in lieu of that one? We could, a small, like here's where you turn rather than.
Directional signs are permitted in the code. They're pretty small. I mean, they're not
Yeah.
monument sign,
Right, but you're not coming in any speed
Right.
that direction. That'd be my preference. But I just don't like that big Dunkin' sign.
The one on the west elevation. Well, that one's only gonna be, that side is viewed from Route 9. If you're
Right.
coming in from ShopRite, the side that you would
Right,
see.
that's where I would say the little directional
Right,
sign instead of.
right, if you're coming in from there, the connector between Hudson Heritage and this plaza, the east elevation signs are the ones that you would see. That's the side of the building that you would be viewing, from that,
Right, but coming up, the one she was talking about, coming up the Home Depot entrance, if you will,
yeah.
you're gonna see that Chestnut on the right-hand corner.
Yeah.
No real difficulty.
Yeah.
I think they would also like to be seen from within, the parking lot, of Home Depot and all the rest of the stores in there.
You can't see the west elevation.
You wouldn't see the
Can't see that
east.
sign.
No, the east elevation I'm talking about, as the building as opposed to a directional that would be facing north and south for coming in the north entrance. That wouldn't satisfy the need for people who are already in the center entering from the other side to see.
Simona? Phyllis?
So, the Dunkin' sign that you've got extra elevated, what was the county's, or what was the point of the trees?
Planning, when they approached the planning board insisted that they do a tree line there. And they had to go back, and these are the elevations that they showed to the planning board and had approved.
Drive-throughs are not permitted in the front of it, facing the roadway in that district, so, but in this site, there was really no other place to put a drive-through window.
Okay,
But the planning board wanted the landscaping there basically because they don't want the drive-through to be seen. I mean, you obviously will see it when you're in the shopping plaza and when you're driving through it, but from the road, it's not supposed to be the thing that you see.
and the signage was okay to be
No,
seen?
actually, the planning board said that if the ZBA doesn't allow that sign, then architecturally that piece will be lowered.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Look,
I think you answered this, but where's this sign? The
oh,
Home Depot?
I just used that as a kind of a review for size for their pylon sign that we're requesting. That's at the south entrance, off of Route 9 into the shopping center. The one down by Applebee's.
Okay, so all the way down the other end of the park.
The second one off Route 9, yeah, there's 3 entrances, actually 4 off Route 9 now.
Okay, and will you have a sign on there as well? 'Cause
No.
they represent-
No, I just put that down for size
Okay.
and color to kind of show that the one we want to put at the north entrance is actually like less than half that size.
Okay.
Tony?
Okay, just so I understand what's going on, looking at your, probably the second or the third to the last photograph, I think we're looking at the existing west side where there's like 2 trees right now. This is the area where the planning board wants the tree line? I see a set of stairs going up.
Actually, yeah, if you look at the one with all of the trees,
Yeah,
okay, like here, this one that you have, I think this one is just to show you where there is a break for people to walk up from the sidewalk.
okay, but I'm looking at one in your packet that shows a set of stairs going up to, I guess, to one end of your, I guess that would be the south end and the west end, that intersection. So right now, there's a couple of trees there. And that's the wall you wanted to put this elevated Dunkin' sign and also the window?
Yes.
That's where the drive-through will be, and that's where we want to put
On
the,
that side, okay.
yes.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any comments from the public on this application? All right, I don't see anybody in the audience. Anybody on Zoom that wishes to comment on this?
If you're on Zoom, you can just unmute yourself.
Okay. Anybody else from the board?
Go back to the Home Depot sign that you just referred to. Chestnut Market is on that sign, in the bottom right-hand corner.
I don't believe I'm not sure that it is going to stay on that. Maybe they have that on there for now. If that's something you'd rather see not be on there, if they get the other one on the road. I think their north side one with the pricing is more important to them, obviously, for pricing.
The north side one?
Yeah, the pylon, we haven't discussed that yet.
Yeah, with the EMD and
What?
the gas prices and the EMD. That's the one you're talking about, right?
Yes, we haven't discussed that one yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Does anyone have any concerns about that one?
The electronic sign?
Right.
But again, that's repeating everything that they want to put on the building.
Right.
Kind of redundant.
And your ordinance allows both freestanding and wall signs.
It's redundant to the Dunkin' sign.
Just for a refresher, I think the size of the sign as proposed, and we're talking about the monument sign, is a little bit larger.
4
than
square
what's-
feet.
Yeah, so it's a variance of 4 square feet. The other issue is the EMD signage, right? That's not allowed, so that's a separate variance.
Well, this, right, but the one they have there now, they didn't apply for, right?
Right.
They just put that there.
Right.
I have nothing to do with it.
And then I think there's also a variance for a second freestanding sign, so,
Where?
or am I mistaken?
I don't think there is.
Well, that's the one, I think that's the other Dunkin' sign they're talking about is a freestanding.
No, all the other ones are wall signs, so I don't think.
The one you're showing, the
The one that's attached to the wall but raised a little above the roof level,
Yes.
you may be thinking that's a
Well,
freestanding, but it's not.
okay.
What's the county say about the Dunkin' sign?
So they're against,
Try to make it do that. It's a mess.
I have that if you need it.
the wall signs,
The second paragraph.
yeah. Denied they would move, or they suggest denying the variances for the north facade, the south facade Squirrel and Dunkin' signs, the west and east facade Chestnut Market signs. Condition approval of the remaining signs on the applicant, lowering the west facade Dunkin' sign below the building cornice line, and condition approval of the freestanding sign and the removal of the EMD element. But I would point out that traditionally for gas stations, we've allowed those for gas stations.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. In case anyone has anything else, then I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Could I ask you one quick question? Just in general?
No, you've waived that.
Nothing about this.
No, go ahead.
What, does the board consider planting season? When somebody's to plant trees
You mean
within
now?
the planting season, the town, yeah.
Well, we don't, they have to survive, so, we would leave that up to you, but mostly they stop around now. Yeah, usually.
Yeah, the 80-degree
Okay.
November weather is
Yeah,
not good for them.
right.
Okay,
We're getting to the end.
all right. Look that up if it was for this year's. Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to item number 3. There's a request to adjourn that to December 12th by the applicant. Anybody have any problems with that? Then I'll move to adjourn item number 3 until December 12th. December 12th? Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that carries.
Who seconded?
Who seconded it?
Me.
That brings us to item number 4, 29 Sharon Drive. John and Sharon McBride. Anyone here for that application? Can you come on up? All right, why don't you state your name?
John McBride.
Mr. McBride, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you describe your application?
We built the deck, I was trying to figure out when, you asked me yesterday. We built it in 2008. At the time, I just wanted someplace for my wife to sit and watch the kids while they were in the pool. Built it within a couple of feet of the property line. There's room enough to run a lawnmower through. I didn't actually measure it. I said 1 to 2 feet. It's probably 3. Next door neighbors didn't mind. They didn't care. There was trees on the property line. They couldn't see the deck or the fence that I put up. We couldn't see their backyard. They don't seem to have a problem with it now. We're getting ready to sell. The kids are grown and gone. And so I just want to make it legal.
Okay. And you talked about the porch too, right?
The porch was there when I bought the house in 1994, and I added some fencing to cover up a propane tank that was sitting there. The tank has since been moved to the backyard. It's for a pool heater. But other than that, the porch was there when I bought the house almost 30 years ago.
Okay. Christine, any questions?
No questions.
Art?
No questions.
Simona?
Are you changing the porch at all, or just
No,
utilizing what's
no,
there?
I did put something in front of it to make it look better. The concrete blocks were starting to look, they just looked old. So I put some wood in front of it and some posts for some railing. And that I just found out was 3 inches too short. I had to add 3 inches to it as per the inspector. And we've been working on the house since the beginning of May. And this is the last step, and I'm tired. I'm old, I'm tired, I just want this done. So.
Okay. Philip?
I have no questions.
Tony? Questions. Tony?
No questions.
All right, anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this application? Come on up. State your name.
I'm Brian Vitone. I live at 31 Sharon.
Okay.
Mr. Vitale, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, what do you want to say?
I want to say I live immediately adjacent to the McBrides, and I believe, 30 feet it's supposed to be off our property? I don't believe our houses are even 30 feet apart. They're packed right in. It's no wider than his house. It's never been in my way. I've been there 13 or 14 years, and I have no problems with it, no qualms.
Okay. Any questions for anybody? All right, thanks.
Okay.
If there are no one else who wants to comment on this application, I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that motion carries. Thanks. And you can wait until the end or call tomorrow.
I'll wait, you can go. Thank you.
All right. That brings us to item number 5. 17 Division Street. Anybody here from that application? All right, I'll call that again. We'll go to item number 6, 88 Spackenkill Road. Mr. Pataki?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Potachi?
It's Pataki.
Pataki, okay.
Well, it's really, in Polish, it's pronounced Patuski, but in English, you say Pataki for some reason.
Mr. Pataki, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right, why don't you describe your application?
The property owner felt that because this existing house is a raised ranch and all the living space is in the lower level, which is a little abnormal. So the property owner wanted to install a deck off the master bedroom just to have some outdoor living space accessible from the upper level. And there's really nowhere to locate it that wouldn't require a side yard variance.
Okay, and it's fair to say that that deck does not encroach any more on the side lot line than the existing house, is that correct?
No, it does not.
Okay. Christine?
No questions.
Art?
No questions?
Simona?
No questions.
Phyllis?
No questions.
Tony?
No questions.
Tony.
Yeah, no questions.
All right, anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this application? All right, I don't see anyone. Anyone on Zoom? Okay, in that case, I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. And again, you can wait for the rest of the night to the end of the meeting, or you can call in the morning.
Thank you.
Okay? That brings us up to 732 Alder Drive.
Hello.
How are you? You wouldn't mind just taking your hat off? Oh, sure. That's okay. You can sit though. All right. And then, why don't you state your name?
My name is John Greeny.
Okay.
Mr. Greeny, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
And Ms. Hagstrom?
Yes, thank you. I am here via Zoom on behalf of my client.
Very well. Okay, why don't either one of you describe what you want to do?
Okay, so I think I'll start. Basically, we're requesting a variance under 21048 of the town code because my client built a shed on his property, a 10 by 10 shed, but the problem is the height because it can't be taller than 8 feet and it's 13 feet 2 inches. So that required it, instead of being 6 feet from the property line, which is what he originally thought, that it has to be 10 feet from the property line. So I spoke with Sonia James. She told me to clarify. She told me it has to be from the overhang as opposed to from the corner of the shed. So he's five and a half feet away. So he needs a 4.5 foot variance, but he's requesting a 5 foot. So I think there was some confusion as to what the request actually was or what the reading was. So I'll let Lisa Cobb, I think she's aware of that, speak to that.
The plot plan that, sorry, Karen, the plot plan that was supplied showed 6 feet, 6 inches, and so it really should have shown either, if the applicant was looking for 5, it should have shown 5, or if it's 5 foot, 5 inches, that should have been. And then there's also a difference, another spot in the plans, it says it's 4 feet to the corner of the structure, so we've got a couple of different numbers, but I think we can accept that if the applicant is seeking I mean, obviously the shed is not going to move at this point, it's existing, so if the board were inclined to grant the variance, we would do the, I guess, the 5 foot variance that the applicant's requesting, or the 5 foot, 5 inch, 6 inch actual distance, so.
So 5.5 feet will satisfy?
Karen, it's 5 feet, 5 inches from the property line? So you need a 4 foot, 5 inch variance?
Yeah.
Okay.
4 foot 6 inch.
Inches or 4.5, right? Variance is what we actually need, but we wanted to be a little liberal, to have a little wiggle room just in case. So instead of 4 foot 6 inches or 4.5, we were requesting a 5 foot variance. Is what's in our application.
I measured from my survey peg to my survey peg with a mason line, so I might be a couple inches off because I couldn't get the survey crew out to put a pin in time, so
Okay.
I just want to cover my bases.
All right, and this is replacing a shed, right?
Yes, there was an existing shed a couple feet in front of this location, and that was more or less the same distance from the property line, but it was decrepit, it had decayed over time, you know, it wasn't in good shape.
Okay, and is it fair to say that to the left of that shed, as you're facing it from the front of your house, there's a wall, or earthen bank there?
Oh, yeah, they put the septic system right behind the house, they put a terrace all around it and the whole yard, as you can see in one of the pictures. I actually took a picture from the back of the yard holding the camera level. The whole yard slopes. So I'd either be building it in like the wet spot down at the bottom, which I came to find out gets very wet on occasion, or I'd have to it would require like a full foundation. It would, there's no, that's why they put the other shed where they did.
Okay. I don't have anything else. Christine?
No questions.
Art?
No questions?
Simona?
No questions.
Phyllis?
No questions.
Tony?
No questions.
Tony?
And no questions.
Anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this application? I don't see anyone in the audience. Anyone on Zoom? All right, I'm not hearing anything. Then I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that motion carries. And again, you can wait till the end of the meeting or call it in the morning.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Next is item number 8, 36 Thomas Avenue. Okay, why don't you state your names?
Yes, I'm Jeff Fatima.
Christine Fatima.
Do you both swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Okay, why don't you describe your application?
What we're proposing to do is to extend a roof line that's already in the front of the house over to the end of the house, so there's a full front porch. The porch is original, that's there. It's quite deteriorated, and it was kind of been on our list of things to do for the last 10 years, and finally wanted to move forward with that. So at the time we put an addition on the back of the house, it was the variance, or the offset was 10 feet. We've also made improvements with putting a garage on the house that was supposed to be 10 feet off. It's actually 11 and 12 feet off the property. But so now they've changed it to 20 feet, which would mean that we wouldn't be able to bring that roof all the way to the edge of the house, following the same line as the house is now.
Okay. Christine, any questions?
No questions.
Art?
No, so to be clear, it's not going any further out than the edge of the house, right?
No further than the edge of the house, right?
Thank you.
Simona?
No questions.
Phyllis?
No questions.
Tony?
No questions.
Tony?
No questions.
Anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this application? I don't see anyone in the audience. Anyone on Zoom? All right, not seeing or hearing anything. I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that motion carries. And again, you can wait till the end of the meeting or call the zoning administrator in the morning.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I see Mr. Bernasconi's appeared, so I'm going to recall whatever 17 Division Street was. Item number 5.
Good evening.
Mr. Bernasconi, do you?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, why don't you describe your application?
Yes, sir. So the 17 Division Street property, I bought the property, and 2 years ago, the person that I bought it from, Patty Knight, had gotten a variance. It was approved. She asked for 10 feet. She got approved by the board 8.3 feet. I'm just looking for 5 feet. What happened was she didn't build, so the variance expired because no one started building. So basically, I'm just reapplying for that side variance. We're only asking for 5 feet this time.
Okay, so you're asking for less than what was granted the last time?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay. And nothing else has materially changed?
Nothing. No, nothing, sir.
Okay. Tony? Tony, yes.
Okay. There was something we got involved with on that same property, I believe, last year. Was that the front of the property, the earlier variance, back?
Yeah, I think maybe she wanted to slide the house forward. It's back where the Board of Health wanted it, and the building permit, it's all been approved, the engineering. So the house sits back 60 feet, so it's behind the two other houses. Each neighbor to the right and left. I'm alongside their shed, so the house is all the way back. I only have a 30-foot backyard now, so I'm behind the two other houses. They're close to the road. But other than that, the woman that I bought the property from, Patty Knight, was going to order, a bigger house. It just didn't work for her, the property, and she got the variance again for 8 feet, and it expired. I'm just looking for 15 feet, total.
Okay, and then just to clarify one other thing, I took a look at that and I saw the survey stakes. The variance that you're seeking is on the side toward the river?
No, sir, above. The septic.
Above,
My septic
okay.
is on the left, yeah.
Okay, so you're actually looking for a variance on the, between you and the one who's on the corner of Division Street and Stone Street?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, yes, sir.
Which is the east end? Okay.
Yeah, about the train, yeah. So
Yeah.
looking at the property to your right is the house.
Yep, okay.
On Stone Street, yes, sir.
All right, thanks. That was, that's the part that wasn't clear. Which
I
side?
understand. Thank you.
Yep. Mhm.
Tony?
Okay, that's it.
No questions. Phyllis?
I have no questions.
Simona?
No questions.
Art?
No questions.
Christine?
No questions.
Okay, anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this application? I don't see anyone in the audience. Anyone on Zoom? I don't see or hear anyone, so I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that motion carries. That brings us to item number 9, 830 Main Street.
Thank you.
Come on.
Good evening, everyone.
All right. Would you state your name?
Danny Petrizzo.
Mr. Patrizzo, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Okay, why don't you describe your application?
I'm just asking for a second monument sign. I own 830 Main Street, which is a Planet Wings Pizzeria. I have a flag-shaped lot. A lot of my patrons come in from the Haight Avenue side, which is 4455, the arterial. So I'm just asking to put a sign between Popeyes and 531 Haight Avenue where my entrance is. I'm not asking for any, variances on the feet or whatever. Monuments had to be 10 feet from the main road, centered into my landscaped area.
That's just the pretty narrow.
Yeah, and it's identical to the one in front. So in my application, I showed you pictures of what the actual sign looks like. And then there's an aerial view of placement, and then a site plan of placement with the setbacks I proposed, which is 10 feet from the roadway, centered in my landscaped area.
There's a pole or some sort of electric box or something right there on the, right about where.
There is a telephone pole, but I'm gonna be behind
Back
it.
that behind.
Actually, I'm planning right where there was an approval when it was, Casco Hudson Bank. There's 2 posts. I'm not going to do a 2-post one. I'm gonna do a monument base with a single post, pretty much where it was already approved years ago, for Casco Hudson Bank.
Okay. Tony?
Okay, so I looked at that and I was trying to figure that out. So I saw those 2 posts. So you would put it in that same location?
Yes, I actually think the first post is closer than 10 feet, so I'd be right in the middle of those 2 aluminum silver posts.
Okay, and that's, so you want visibility from Haight Street, right, for traffic going, whatever that is, eastbound, I guess?
Yeah, but, you know, I would actually make it double-sided if I could, because people walking are, you know, just identical to what I had on the other side.
Okay, and you're, if I remember one of your photographs, you mentioned something about flipping the existing signs on Main Street. Is that might be part of the other one, I don't know.
Yeah, I would just, you know, the picture, I might flip both of them if it's not a problem. Might put Pizza Beer on top, Plain Wing on the bottom. So it's just the way our engineer showed it on our original site plan. It shows Pizza Beer, Plain Wings on top, Pizza Beer on the bottom. But for this one, I want to put Pizza Beer on top, Planet Wings on the bottom, because everybody knows where Pizza Beer is. And people just, where Planet Wings is,
Right.
but they just don't know where I'm at. You know, I had great visibility on Route 44. I wish we would have asked you for this years ago when we built the whole place, but I need this sign because people just don't know or don't come to that corridor of Main Street on Main Street. So everyone else has 2 sides, so I'm just pretty much mirroring what Popeye's doing.
Okay, and one more thing. That driveway between, there's another building there on Haight, and then there's a driveway, and then there's this line of trees where you want to put your sign. That driveway, is that one way from Haight to West Main?
Well,
it's got an arrow, that's the
on
reason I'm asking.
830 Main Street, it has a 1 arrow coming in. The one going out is for Century 21, so it doesn't, it's not a double for Planet Wings and Pizza Beer.
Okay, it's a little confusing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Tony?
No questions.
Phyllis?
No questions.
Okay. Simona?
No questions.
Art?
No questions.
Christine?
No questions.
All right, I have a couple of questions. So the arrow line, the way the arrows are on your pavement now, you would come in from Haight, you'd have to go all the way to Main Street and then come around, right, to get into the parking lot?
From Haight?
From Haight, yeah.
Well, I have a Main Street entrance.
Right.
So basically, the Haight Avenue would just be a straight drive-through for my back parking. So customers that are coming into the store would come in off of Main Street, park in, I have like a, circle driveway.
Right.
And then once they get to the stop sign where that arrow is, you can only go straight forward back out to Main Street.
Right.
So it's kind of like a, circle.
So do you own, there's a curved curb in the end of the parking lot there,
Yes.
right behind it. Do you own, is there any parking where if they came in from Haight, they would park there and then walk into your building? Or do they have to come up all the way to Main Street, make the right, and then come back into your parking lot?
No, there's 10 parking spots there, so they can just come in from Haight Avenue, just park on the back parking lot. Does that answer the question?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. But then when they want to leave,
Right, they have to go out to Main.
technically, they're supposed to go straight out to Main Street. That out arrow is not really for that back parking lot, it's more for Century 21.
Right. And was there a county response on this? Should there have been?
I think so.
Did we circulate it to county? Or no?
We didn't get anything back yet.
And it probably hasn't been 30 days, unfortunately.
So because this is on a state, it's on a state road, the county has to respond to it, so we can't vote on it tonight.
Okay, but it was circulated, you know,
It was circulated when the application came in, which
Mhm.
isn't 30 days ago. And so if we don't hear from the county in 30 days, we can proceed. But we typically get comments, but for some reason, probably because of last week with Election Day and
Okay.
Veterans Day, they didn't respond to us. So the board can't act until it has county comments, whatever they may be, even if it's a
okay.
matter of local
Now, would I have to
concern.
come back for the next meeting, or you guys just do it, you know,
Well, typically, we would
Continues.
ask you to address the comments that the county had. If they were fine with it, which I would doubt, then there wouldn't be any need for you to do anything. But typically, they have some concerns about signs. And
Okay.
so you would
But-
have, we give
So
you an
once we
opportunity to
rec-
address that.
Right, once we receive the county comments, we'll circulate them to you. The public hearing will be kept open because new information, the county comments will be coming in. You can decide if you want to attend for the next meeting, but if there are any comments from the county other than matter of local concern, we recommend that you come and address their concerns.
okay, so no comments, I don't need to come.
Right.
Okay, fair enough.
December 12th is the next,
Okay. All right.
All right, anyone else who wants to comment on this? All right, then I'll move to adjourn this to December 12th.
second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then that motion carries.
Thank you.
And that brings us to item number 10. 824, 826 Main Street.
Do we have county comments on this one? No county comments, so, okay, so same.
Good evening. My name is John Andrews. I'm with the firm of Rhodey, Soik and Andrews. I'm a New York State licensed professional engineer, and I'm here on behalf of Danny on this application.
Mr. Andrews, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do, ma'am.
All right, why don't you describe this application?
Certainly. The project involves 824 to 826 Main Street. It's the old Spectrum Printing Building for those longtime town of Poughkeepsie residents. What we're looking to do is redevelop and renovate that existing building. What we propose to do is put 2 storefront occupancies up front facing on Main Street. And then in the back, we would like to, that building is very long, if you're familiar with it, it goes way back. We'd like to put 2 two-bedroom apartments and 1 one-bedroom apartment. Also on this same parcel, there's an existing building. It's got a small retail on the first floor. There are 2 apartments on the second floor and a 3rd small apartment in virtually what's the attic or 3rd floor. So as a consequence, we're in front of the planning board right now for special permit and site plan approval because it's in the Arlington Town Center district. And we're also doing a lot line realignment. We're grabbing a small portion of property from the property to our south, Haight Avenue, to give us a little bit of egress. We're only picking up about 5 feet. So what we are seeking tonight is 2 variances. There would be, if this application reaches fruition, 6 apartments, 3 in the building to be renovated, 3 in the existing building. The residential density in the Arlington Town Center District calls for 6 units on 1 acre. Unfortunately, we only have about a quarter acre, about 12,000 square feet, on which we'd like to put these 6 apartments. So there's a pretty substantial variance of 31,549 square feet. The other matter is parking. The site is tight.
My understanding is that parking's not an issue in front of us?
So, right, that parking actually in the ATC district is a matter of planning board consideration. So they have the right to waive the parking, and typically they have provided that the applicant is providing sufficient for residential. So one of the criteria this board has to consider is whether there are any alternatives or what's the minimum variance they can grant. And since the planning board can grant a waiver, then I think the consensus would be that they would not meet that criteria.
Just so you, and Mr. Welty was at the meeting, I did ask for that. The planning board didn't waive it. They sent us to you. So it's kind of, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place.
did they, I don't think they sent them to you. I think they didn't make a decision yet on the parking. on
Right.
the-
I remember there was a comment from one of the planning board members, with concerns about the residential parking properties not having.
Right, so we don't know that they're gonna grant the waiver for all of the parking, but I don't think I don't think there's a variance to be granted in the ATC.
Okay,
Well, so we have to adjourn this in any event because we don't have county. We will have an intervening planning board meeting. I suggest we discuss it. I suppose if the planning board were disinclined to grant a waiver, then that might be something that this board could take up as a variance request. But let's cross that bridge when we get there, and we'll see what the planning board does on Thursday.
Is this on Thursday?
no.
No, I would put it on as a discussion topic.
The whole idea was to have these things all come
This
together.
stuff, right.
And so what we do provide is we do meet the standard for residential parking. The residential parking requirement is 1.5 spaces per dwelling unit. We have 6 dwelling units, so we require 9 spaces. We have 8 standard spaces and 1 handicap space on the plan. So what we do not supply is the commercial. We did have some discussions, and I guess it wasn't clear that the waiver had to be addressed first. I understand. We'll cross that bridge with the planning board, and I'll make sure we discuss it at the planning board meeting when we appear. Our goal is to get to the December meeting. So having said that, then we'll go back to the variance for the residential units.
Are you expanding the building at all?
No, sir, we are not.
How big will the apartments be?
There's 2 2-bedrooms and a 1 1-bedroom, and they're about 700. They're nice size apartments. They're 6 to 750 square feet.
For both the 2-bedroom and the 1-bedroom?
There's 2
Each unit.
bedrooms. And they're both about the same size, about 750 square feet thereabouts. I think the 1-bedroom is about 650 square feet.
Okay.
Just if I may, I'll point it out. What ends up happening is the building, this is Main Street. The building is quite long. It runs almost all the way to about 3 foot off the rear lot line. And what happens is when you pull off a reasonable size for a small storefront commercial in this area, you're left with a rather large section of building to the rear. And it used to be a printing plant. They used to do some, have machinery equipment back there. But the driveway is only about 15 feet wide. So when you start to try to figure out what you want to put there, it doesn't lend itself really to anything but a low intense use, in this case residential. It gives it a nice, kind of protected area back there, and it's actually kind of quiet inside that building because you're kind of set back from the road. So we thought this made sense. And to do lesser units, nobody's going to get one big apartment in there. It just doesn't lend itself to this. And there's a lot of square footage in that rear section. So that's why we opted to do what we proposed.
So is it fair to say that it's a better use of the site to have that many apartments, or you really needed to make it economically viable?
I think, to be quite candid, I think it's both.
Yeah.
I think it's a good use
That's
of the
a good
site.
answer.
There was 8 or 9 parking spaces back there originally. Doesn't give you a lot of room for maneuvering, but we can meet most of the parking. We meet the parking setbacks. But also, it makes economic sense. We looked at, 2 big apartments. That third one is kind of like the one that makes this a very viable project, because there's a lot of rehab work in that back section.
Okay. All right, that's all I have. Tony?
Well, again, because I looked at both of these the other day, and I'm just doing this from memory, but, you're proposing spaces basically behind where the existing building is between you and what is it, Century 21?
No, actually, this is Century 21, Haight Avenue is at the back end here.
Okay.
Let me show you.
All right, that's what's not clear is where you were talking
So
about.
here is the front property,
Yep,
the existing building, the large building we're looking to rehab it. This is Century 21. Our parking will fit right in here behind the two buildings. It's gonna be tucked right in here.
okay,
We're taking 5 foot
Uh-huh.
from Century 21,
right,
but we're building a raised bed garden back there.
okay,
So,
Okay.
so that we kind of protect the back of our building and give us a sense of separation between Century 21 and,
okay, yeah, that's, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
All right, Tony?
No questions.
Phyllis?
If you could talk a little bit more about how you're gonna green up that space, because when I was there Sunday, was just a lot of parking and concrete, and then there was some weeds.
We had this discussion at the planning board meeting, and we had proposed some lawn back there, and the planning board decided that it was kind of like a nice courtyard area, that nobody would really take advantage of the lawn area. So what they proposed was to clean it up, get rid of some of the weeds. So the only real green we'll be doing will be at the back of the building, along the south side. Since the next door, he does plant his own spices around, Planet Wings and Pizza Bira, he'd like a larger planting garden. So we're gonna put a 4-foot wide raised bed garden along the back. And then the interior courtyard, we're gonna clean it up and rehab the parking and just make it a parking space. They wanted the additional asphalt for snow storage and some other things, so that's what we're gonna do. There is a concept out there, the west side, there's actually a small, very small, like driveway paved in there. The planning board has requested that we look at, taking that out and making it grass. But again, it's one of those areas that it's not very well lighted. It's tucked between two buildings. So I'm almost hesitant to say, but actually asphalt probably will keep it looking better than if we tried to plant something, because I don't think it would really thrive in that kind of corner in there.
Yeah,
No,
and that little alleyway is a little rough right now. My apologies. It should have been weed whacked down. But when we clear that out, like he was saying, just a nice clean asphalt surface between all the properties, I think, is the best, and it actually would deter people from loitering.
And so then you'll maintain
Yeah,
the
of
garden in the back for the herbs that you use?
Yeah, that'll be like the apartment back entrance in a sense. So the back entrance will be landscaped and nice, but in between the two buildings, as I feel it's just better cleaned up. All the weeds along the fences, I gotta deal with the neighbor, and then just new asphalt.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Simone?
It's just a little hard for me to visualize the current building as apartments. Would you be able to provide some kind of renderings for next meeting,
Yeah.
So this is, it's slightly mislabeled, I don't know if you can see it, but this is the north elevation, or the front that would be on Main Street. We're proposing to rehab it. We do have color the planning board has seen. They're not opposed to it. We're gonna dress it up, put a decorative border on the bottom, some contrasting colors, and clean it up. This is the south elevation. This would be facing the Haight Avenue side. There's a egress door. There would be new residential style windows. There's some openings that are gonna be dressed up, but this would all be refinished and repainted, same color scheme as the front.
Like, underneath the 3 windows on this south entrance is where
That garden.
I want to do the raised bed for my herbs and gardening. So it'd be
then-
all nice there.
This is the interior courtyard. There's one apartment door, 2 apartment door, 3 apartment doors. There'd be all new residential windows. This is the front stores, so you can see how the building is extremely long. And then this would be, we're cleaning up the side that is on Pizza Bira. The property gets real tight in there, and so there's asphalt, but this is the front that would face Main. We're gonna clean this up. This is a mechanical room door, and these are some miscellaneous openings in the wall that need to be addressed. But that's what the building will look like.
Thank you, that's very helpful.
Yeah, I had a rendering. I didn't even think about bringing it.
And
Nice picture.
I can submit if you want. We do have a floor plan. Unfortunately, I don't think I brought one with me to show you how the apartments are partitioned, but that kind of gives you a good sense of what's what.
And color-wise?
Color, I think it's, believe it or not, I think it's black accents with white and gray tones on the
Yeah,
front
it's-
to dress it up, to try to keep it the way it looks.
The front facade will have, it kind of matches the Planet Wing building. Like I have the granite stucco. So I have the granite stucco planned on the bottom, and how I have the aluminum at the Planet Wing side going up left to right. I'm gonna use the same thing and go up and down. So and black soffits all throughout. And then actually the other building, I am going to black soffits, paint the brick, you know, so kind of like tie in, and it's a light gray. So I'm trying to look up, I have pictures. I could probably pass my phone around. So any other questions on the outside? Okay. Art?
No questions. Christine?
No questions.
Okay, do you have vendors or do you have tenants yet for the business?
I'm sorry?
You have tenants yet for the businesses? The commercial part?
I have one that's rented for like a hair salon. She does eyelashes and weaves and cuts hair. The other one, I'm having a hard time renting. You know, there's just a lot of vacancies on Main Street. You know, every other building has something for rent. So, but we do have some bites, but hopefully someone, you know, really bites at it.
Okay. Any comments from the audience? All right, I don't see anyone in the audience or on Zoom. I move to adjourn this to December 12th.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And if you want to bring some color renderings next time,
Okay.
we always like those.
Okay, we're gonna run into a catch-22 again. And my client's gonna kick me under the table and I'm gonna limp out of here. But the planning board meeting, I believe, Mike, is
The 15th.
the 15th.
Yeah.
So the planning board won't have had an opportunity to weigh in on
We
the
do
parking.
Yeah, we can just adjourn the parking thing.
There is a planning board meeting this Thursday, in 2 days. I know you're not technically on the agenda, but we can put it as a discussion, I think, and have the board discuss it. Not that you would need to be there, but we can certainly find out, get some sense from them where they stand on the plan, on the parking waiver. And then we can report back to this board.
I'd appreciate that. I'd be willing to be there if you need me. Mike, just let me
I
know.
don't think so. I think we'll probably do it at the end of the meeting. I
Okay.
can't tell you how long it's gonna be, so.
Yep.
Yeah,
Did you guys
so-
want to look at my phone and get an idea of what it's going to look like?
You got some yeses?
Okay, that would be helpful then, because our plan, sir, is to make a submission on Monday. So, and we're gonna proceed with that. We're almost there anyway.
Okay.
I've been in touch with the county, I've been in touch with a few other folks, so
Okay. That sounds good.
I really appreciate it.
But that'll just be the way.
So we're deferred till the 12th.
Similar to the brick.
Yeah, you're gonna whitewash the brick on that one and the black top.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sure.
Email it to you guys. For the actual.
That would be helpful next month.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Aye.
So the pawn shop, that's still staying?
Yeah, it's just gonna look prettier.
Okay.
You know, so push it up and make it black sockets and all that stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
And match the, you know, same base color on there and then black trim, black sockets. This one's gonna be good enough. All right. What's that? All right, thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, then I'm gonna try and take care of the people that are here. Okay, here we go.
Should do the residential.
Yeah. So let's see. Number 4, 29 Sharon Drive. No, you can stay right there. Okay. So, there's a variance to legalize a deck that was built and a porch. It's a significant variance, however, it's been there for quite some time. Anybody have any concerns about it? No?
No.
All right, then let me offer these findings. Whether an undesirable change will produce in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties by the granting of the variance. It appears to be conforming with the neighborhood. It's been there quite some time. It should not have any impact. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than area variance. It's an existing structure. And there's no way to do it without a variance. Whether the requested area variance is substantial mathematically, it is. The impact on the neighborhood appears to be de minimis. Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect on a physical or environmental condition, there's no evidence that there'll be any physical or environmental impact. And whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, it certainly was. That's not a reason to deny this variance, and I would offer those findings. Okay. Christine, you mind making this motion?
Sure. I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 4. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair. So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Then that motion carries. Next is 17 Division Street. No, that's not, okay, we'll wait on that one. Let's see. Okay, 88 Spackenkill Road, item number 6. So this was a deck. That was added on in line with the house, doesn't have any more greater encroachment into the side lot line. It's a nice thing. So let me offer these findings. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood. It seems to be consistent with the neighborhood. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible to pursue other than area variance based upon the already encroached, the main building encroaching on the side lot line. There's no way to achieve this without an area variance. Whether the area variance is substantial, mathematically perhaps, but since it has no greater encroachment into the side lot line than the primary or principal building, I don't think it's substantial. Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions, there's no evidence that there'll be any physical or environmental impact. And whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, it certainly was, but that's not a reason to decline or deny this application, and I would offer those. Art, do you mind doing one?
Not at all.
Well, thank you very much.
I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item 6. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts its findings as set forth by the chair. So moved.
Second?
All right, any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Then that motion carries. Is 34 Alder Drive? 32, sorry, okay. All right, this is a shed which requires a variance for two reasons. One, it's too close in any case to the side lot line, and secondly, because it's too tall, it requires a greater variance. However, if you remember seeing the property, there's the septic system and a raised area that's right next to the shed. You can't move it any farther to the left, so he needs a variance. I don't think it's a big impact. Does anybody have any concerns with this one? Okay, then let me offer these findings. Whether an undesirable change will be reduced in the character of the neighborhood, it appears to be consistent with the neighborhood. It's a very nice looking shed, and whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance based upon the topography of the lot, the slope of the lot, and the raised septic system to the left, or as it within the side lot setback. There's no other way to do this without an area variance. Whether the requested area variance is substantial, it's 50% increase in or impact, but I don't think it's that substantial. There's no evidence that they'll have any physical or environmental impact on the neighborhood or district, and while this was self-created, that's not a reason to deny the application, and I would offer those findings. Simona, do you mind making this motion?
I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 7. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair. So moved.
Okay.
Second?
Any discussion? 5 feet. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Then that motion carries. Okay, 36 Thomas Avenue. This is, they're just having a covered porch, extending the porch and covering it. There's really no impact in the side lot lines other than the regular principal structure. So anybody have any concerns about this one? All right, then let me offer these. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood. This appears to be consistent with the character of the neighborhood, and whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method other than an area variance based upon the size of the lot and the location of the principal structure. There's no way to achieve this without an area variance. And whether the requested area variance is substantial, mathematically perhaps, but since this has no further encroachment into the side lot line than the principal structure, it's not substantial. And there's no evidence that there's any physical or environmental impact into the neighborhood or district. And although this was self-created, that's not a reason to deny the application. And I would offer those findings. Phyllis, do you mind making the motion?
Sure.
Thanks.
I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 8. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and the results of site visits by the board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the finding as set forth by the chair. So move.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Then that motion carries. All right, and that brings us back to item number 2. 3460 North Road.
Item 1?
2? Well, he's not.
Oh, she's here. Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
And I forgot one very important thing to tell you about
Okay, so the county had some recommendation on this. had some recommendations, which I think the applicant has made some concessions. So, I don't really have any concern with the existing pylon that includes the EMDs. I think traditionally we've allowed, gas stations, service stations to have the EMDs to reflect the price of the gasoline. So I don't really have a problem with that. It's an additional 4 square feet for the signs. I'm not particularly concerned about that. Does anybody have any concerns about that sign? No? Okay. Now as to, and so I can keep it clear. So that takes care of 1, 2, maybe 3 of their application. So let me see. The east elevation, are we okay with?
That's the Home Depot side, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Question. Looking at it closer, you're still gonna put the squirrel over there?
I thought the squirrel was gonna go on everything except for the main entrance.
I thought the squirrel was gonna go over the main entrance,
Right,
but no other squirrels.
Right, so the only, it would, the
We got-
squirrel would
we got-
go,
we got 2
except for
squirrels.
over the main
We got 2
entrance.
squirrels.
Little squirrel.
If you look at the east elevation, it says
Right,
chestnut,
right.
something with the squirrel. So, you gotta kill that squirrel.
Main is south.
Make a stew out of that sucker.
Okay. And the south elevation, the squirrel is gone,
Yep,
but the Duncan remains.
yep.
Are we okay with that?
And the squirrel stays over the door.
Right.
One squirrel.
So that's 1, 2. So there's 2 on the east elevation?
What?
2 on the
Signs?
east elevation. Yeah.
Okay. Then,
2 on the south elevation.
okay. It's 3.
None on the north elevation.
None of that, yeah. And now the west elevation,
Killer.
I'm not seeing the purpose there.
Or they could drop it.
I mean, if the county wants to lower it, but then you won't see it. And even if they don't lower it, in a couple of years they won't see it.
And the pylon sign would sort of take care of that side.
The way I see it, yeah, I'm not particularly convinced that people coming, from that side of it into the Home Depot, that side are gonna be confused about Dunkin' Donuts.
I think word gets out that Dunkin' Donuts is in there.
Yeah.
And we had the same argument pretty much from Chipotle, I think it was, that they
Right.
weren't gonna do any business and we didn't give them that sign and the place is packed.
Right. So, part of it is they want a second wall sign that says Chestnut Market Squirrel sign. Not facing. Do we have to do the square footage, or can we just limit it to Chestnut Market? If we grant it's like for item number 8 on the application.
So if you're looking at number 8, that's a variance only for the fact that it's a second wall sign,
Right.
because there would be allowed more square footage. So what you're saying is to allow only the Chestnut Market, but not the squirrel for 8, or am I?
I guess, I don't know, I mean, does it make much of a difference whether the squirrel is there or not?
You're
Okay.
talking about the west side where the Dunkin' sign was?
On the east elevation.
This one.
On the east elevation where there's.
Oh, okay, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, I don't think it has,
It's kind
I
of
mean,
like
it's
one
already,
side, right?
it's part of the
Yeah.
sign.
Yeah.
Part of the
Okay.
sign.
Squirrel?
Squirrel.
Yeah.
It's very,
So you're changing what you said before, which
Apparently
was no
so,
squirrel on the
yes,
east. So
yes.
now we have a squirrel on the east, but we're still counting it as two signs.
So what do we have to say, does anybody have any concerns with that?
Not that.
You have a concern with something else?
I just want to make sure that we're not going to put one in the Home Depot sign as pictured.
Well, that's already there.
That is the Home Depot.
Yeah, but the chestnut is not going to go in there, and we're going to get the monuments. I just want to make sure.
Could make it a condition.
Which,
But
the
it-
later monument sign by the.
The picture shows it on
In
the Home
addition.
Depot sign, so you would want them to remove that?
Is that? Because it's pictured that way.
Right.
Well, the question is it there or isn't it there? You can't answer.
Well, right here, look, this
The
is.
picture kind of says it is.
You can see it. Well, that one's already there.
It's not gonna change the size of the sign.
But they're also granting a monument sign and the road sign.
Well, no, we're not granting a road. Nope, that's gone.
That's gone.
Right. And that's not a road sign anyway, although it looks like it on the picture, it would go on the roof facade if it was granted, but I'm recommending that you don't grant that. But what else? What else?
That was my question. That was my concern.
Anybody have any problems with?
I think we lost that. Couldn't quite hear that.
So he was concerned about having the chestnut market on the EMD monument sign as well as on the Home Depot, where it already is on the Home Depot sign.
The Home Depot sign is so far away, it's so small.
I don't know what it's doing down there anyway, but, but it's already there. And I don't see that, if we took that off, the sign's not gonna be any smaller, the monument sign's not gonna be any smaller.
The only thing, just for argument's sake, the only reason why taking it off might make sense is that maybe there's somebody else in the plaza that would want that space that doesn't have that space now. And certainly Chestnut doesn't need it, but that's not really our concern.
Well, they could,
They could volunteer to take
right,
it off.
right, if they had okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay, all right.
So I've been trying to do the tally on the variances, because it's a little hard to keep track of them. So there's 9 of them requested. The way I'm seeing it right now, someone correct me if I'm wrong, is that numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 would be approved. Numbers 6, 7, and 8 would be approved. 5 and 9 would not be. The tricky thing is that the west elevation sign, I think, is technically a permitted sign, but I think you could make a condition of granting all of those other variances, maybe the non-inclusion of that sign. I'm looking at you, Lisa, as.
Sure, the only thing I would add, 5 was withdrawn, so when we were doing our tally, that's the second squirrel.
Oh, 5 was withdrawn, so it's not.
just as
right.
opposed to denying it, let's make note that the applicant withdrew 5. And then, and for 9,
9, then. West side of the building. Oh, that was before they used to have on the west side, they had another sign proposed originally, which isn't proposed anymore either, so I guess that's withdrawn.
so, right.
Right, because that one was originally to the right of the drive-through, and it said Chestnut and had a squirrel on it, but that one they don't have on there anymore either.
So number 8 is gone, right? That's the South Squirrel.
Number 8 is.
No, number 8 is the east
It's
squirrel.
the east side.
Oh, where's the South Squirrel? Where's it, where we're at?
It's, the south squirrel is removed.
The south squirrel was number 5.
Gotcha.
The south
Gotcha.
squirrel was 5, so that's withdrawn, and the additional sign on the west side is withdrawn. So I guess the question is, the Duncan sign, Chrissy, was an as-of-right sign. But I think that if the board, I think they certainly could condition it these other variances on not allowing that west side sign. Or if you wanted to, bringing it lower, but then as you say, that's kind of pointless because the trees will block it if the goal is from the road.
That makes the most sense.
Yeah. And what do we need to satisfy the county? The fact that we reduced the number of signs?
Yeah, but we're still gonna need a supermajority because we're still allowing the EMD signage. We reduced the number, but I'm sure we didn't reduce it as much as they.
We can, I mean, the EMD stuff, we traditionally allowed that for gas stations, so I don't think that approaches that.
Right, and I don't think, as to the 30%, I don't think they're only at 34%, so I don't think that's really substantial. If you were going to allow EMD, they're only slightly over, so that's, I think we've discussed that sufficiently, so, yeah, I mean, I think, but
And
you
this-
will need a supermajority, so. What is that, 5?
Is everybody,
Can we just go over one more time what we're gonna allow? We're gonna allow one, east side, both those signs.
Yep.
North side is gone.
Gone.
South side, the right-hand squirrel is gone, Chestnut with the squirrel, and Duncan is staying.
Yep.
And the Duncan over the west is gone.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
And by the way, the architecture for the west elevation
Yeah.
would then come down to, they wouldn't have that thing sticking up anymore.
And then the
just like-
pylon.
Right, because the planning board would have.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the pylon.
Gotcha, thank you.
okay. Then I move that the ZBA determined that, this is an unlisted action, right?
This is an unlisted action, yeah?
So I move that the ZBA determined that there are no other involved agencies.
Oh, wait, is this, oh, this is unlisted, uncoordinated, Mike? Or did the planning board grant this one?
This is uncoordinated. I'm looking at my staff report and I'm going with it.
Okay, so the motion should be that not that there are no other interested agencies, but that it's an unlisted action appropriate for an uncoordinated review. And therefore, this board can make its own secret determination.
Lisa, would the west elevation Duncan need to be a condition?
Yes,
Okay.
the lack of a west elevation done.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So I move that the ZBA determine that this is appropriate for uncoordinated review, declare itself to be the lead agency for this action.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that motion carries, and I move that the ZBA determine that the action would not have a significant adverse effect on the environment and issue a negative declaration.
Second?
All right, any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. I don't have a.
There you go. I'll set for you.
Tony.
I think I got it.
Okay.
Good. So I move that the board approve the request for area variance set forth in item number 2. The variances of 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8, and the applicant has withdrawn 5 and 9 under the condition allowed that we're removing the west elevation sign.
Removing or lowering?
Removing.
Removing,
Right.
okay.
I'll second that.
Okay.
All right. Any discussion?
Can we finish it in a minute? Doesn't matter.
Oh, you want to do what? Yeah, okay, keep going.
This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in public hearing, and a result of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings set forth by the chair.
No, there's
In
a
the
staff
staff
report.
I'll still second it.
Set forth in the staff report.
And was a second?
I still
Okay.
second that 3 times.
Okay. All right. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And do we need to address the county, or do you have that?
We can,
When we draft the resolution, we'll send a copy to the county.
yeah. So just for you, it was approved 7-0, so super majority. We're good.
Correct. Okay. So that brings us to item number 1, 74 Spring Road. Yeah, we still have to do division and then. Okay, 74 Spring Road, he came up with a survey. Anybody have any concerns about it?
I think he did everything we asked him to do.
Yeah. It was mostly for his protection that it was.
Right, exactly.
Okay. All right, let me offer these findings. Whether an undesirable change will produce in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created in the granting of the variance. It does not appear that the fence will have any, impact on the character of the neighborhood. Whether it can be achieved by some method other than the applicant pursue. This is a corner lot. The only way for him to get a fence there is he needs a variance. Whether the area, requested area variance is substantial, it is in the sense that they're not allowed in the front yard, but based upon the location of the principal residence and it being a corner lot, it has less of an impact. And there's no evidence that there's any physical or environmental impact on the neighborhood or district. And while this is self-created, that's not a reason to deny the variance, and I would offer those findings.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Then that motion carries. Then that brings us to 17 Division Street.
Wait.
I'm sorry.
I'm confused. Didn't we do
That-
findings?
That was the findings you just voted on. Now you.
Oh, did we?
Yeah,
Oh,
and we don't
yeah.
always vote on those.
Right.
I don't think we actually do.
No, yeah.
Yeah, so that was findings. So
Tony,
we need
am I making a motion on the?
On Spring Road?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. All right, so the issue on Spring Road is the installation of the fence along Spring Road, right? So, okay, I move that the variance requested for the erection of a fence along Spring Road, 74 Spring Road, be granted. And this is supported by findings of the chair, the testimony at the public hearing, compliance with our recommendations, et cetera, all right? So, okay, I think we covered everything. Site visits by the board, right? So we're, in doing this, we're adopting the variance, we're adopting the findings set forth by the chair, and so moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Then that motion carries. Now we're at 17 Division Street. This is actually, I mean, nothing much has changed. And in fact, he's asking for less of a variance that was granted before. Can we rely on the findings from the last approval?
Sure.
Okay, then Christine, do you mind making this motion?
I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 5. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair.
Findings that were previously found on the...
Findings that were previously
Adopted by the board on this
adopted by the board. So moved.
Oh, second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that motion carries. And that brings us to the final. There's a request by the planning board to be lead agency for amended site plan and lot line revision for Faith Assembly of God at Casper Kill. Anybody have any problem with that? Then I move that we grant the lead agency, the planning board, on that item.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed to that? Then that motion carries. And again, there's a lead agency request from the planning board for a land contour permit, aquatic resource permit, and erosion and sediment control permit. Do you want to keep that one to ourselves?
It'll be fun.
Yeah. And then I move that we grant lead agency to the planning board on that issue.
Second?
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that motion carries. And I'll move to adjourn. Okay.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you very much.
We are very confused. We're very confused.